Hi, everybody. My name is Dora Kurimay. I'm an author, performance coach, and former professional table tennis player in New York. You are listening to the Game Sat Match podcast. Have you ever wondered how the greats of any industry are always able to perform at a high level, even under pressure? What is their secret? In this episode of Game Sat Match, we will discuss how you can motivate yourself, what drives you beyond winning, and my stories of mental toughness on and off the table book.
We are back with Dora Kurimay. Excited to have her back. She's a performance coach based out of New York City, but helping people all around the world. Dora, welcome back today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Today, I know we're going to talk a little about motivation, right? And what drives you beyond winning. And my stories of mental toughness on and off the table book. We got to talk about that. And just a little bit of a recap, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about the types of clients you work with, what you do specifically, and we'll get into that to start.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Dora Kurimay Incorporation is a New York-based company that offers coaching services. And I work with athletes, professionals, teams, and anyone who seeks fulfillment and well-being in their mind, body, and spirit. And I work with my clients through online and in face-to-face. And my effective training programs are designed to reduce stress, successfully manage internal and life balance, and maximize performance. So, how I said, I'm a mental performance coach. I'm a founder of Dora Kurimay Incorporation. I'm a chair of the USA Table Tennis Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I have master's degrees in psychology and sports psychology. I'm a certified mental performance consultant by the Association of Applied Sports Psychology as well. I'm also a European table tennis champion in teams, and I played for the Hungarian national team for 6 years. I was ranked top 10 in Europe under age 18, and I was also top 10 in the US. I'm a performance coach, and I've written a couple of books. And today we are going to talk about the latest book, which is my stories of mental toughness on and off the table.
Perfect. Excited to have you here. So what's this book about and why did you write it?
I created these my stories of mental toughness on and off the table chapters and episodes during 2020 COVID-19 quarantine in New York because it gave me time to reflect on my learning experiences. And sport and life are like a camera, focus on what's important, capture the good times, develop from the negative ones. And if things don't work out, adjust your lenses and take another shot. And creating these chapters and video episodes, because I also created video episodes along with the book, made me recall some of my most critical learning experiences during my life and reminded me of my inner strengths. And I've tied the stories back to theories that I learned about as a young competitive player, theories that I've used my whole life, and I have taught to successful athletes and professionals. And this collection of 11 of stories from my life offers insights on gaining psychological edge and attaining mental toughness.
So who do you recommend read these books? I mean, all your books. What types of people we're talking about here? I think anyone could benefit from it.
Yes, the bottom line is that everyone can benefit from it, but anyone who likes and relates to sports, I highly recommend it. So from recreational players to competitive and even elite players and athletes as well, they would benefit a lot from it. I also think coaches, parents, teachers, and other professionals could also gain insights from reading the book. And I believe the principles of sports psychology, which is what the book is ultimately about, can be applied to all aspects of your life. So that's why I'm recommending to everyone. But whether with public speaking, being a great parent, or developing your skills as an athlete, this collection of 11 stories from my life offers insight on gaining psychological edge and attaining mental toughness.
Great. Well, can we talk about some of the topics that you cover in the book, specifically maybe go through some of the chapters?
Yes, absolutely. So I chose 11 of my hard-won life lessons and tied back every story to different aspects of sports psychology. And I covered topics like motivation, goal setting, visualization, teamwork, adjusting, pre-performance routines, breathing, public speaking, recovery, coaching and mentorship. So there are many, many different topics. So that's why I also recommend for everyone to check it out, because it's a complex book. And the first chapter is about motivation, what drives you beyond winning. And we will talk about in more details about it. The second chapter, it's about goal setting, how to set up smart goals. And I share a story how I got my green card in 3 months as a professional table tennis athlete. So what were the steps and how focused I had to be, and I share that story. The third chapter is about my first championship. And basically, I share a story, how did we win our first European championship when I was a young athlete, and how we won as a team and became the best team in Europe in our great age group. So what we had to do and how we were a team. So I also share this story. And there are a couple of other chapters. So visualization, I also talk about visualization, how I used the technique of visualization to make the national team the first time, and also how I recovered from injury. The chapter 5 is about adjusting. How did I adjust from moving from Budapest, the capital of Hungary, to Berkeley in sunny California? How I adjusted moving to the US the first time and graduated successfully and became one of the top players in the US. I also share a story about that. The chapter 6 is about pre-performance routine. How can you be ready for your match? Maybe not skydiving. I'm sharing a story and highlighting the importance of a pre-performance routine before every important event, because it matters not just what you do during an important event, but right before as well. And chapter 7 is about breathing and remaining calm. And we talked about it last time, right? So what mental toughness techniques did I use? Why not wreck diving? And I wrote about the importance of deep breathing and how you can apply it with positive self-talk in high pressure situations. So you can use it anytime. The chapter 8 is about distractions. So from San Francisco to New York, how to block out distractions. I wrote about how I moved from San Francisco to New York, and also how I had to deal with distractions, because New York, there are many distractions, and share a couple of stories here. And chapter 6 is about public speaking. How did I use my athletic experience in public speaking? So when you're good at something, you can always channel those skills to other areas of your life. And I shared it in chapter 6. And chapter 10 is about recovery. Why do you need to rest? How to manage your stressors and resources, have a recovery time, and find your balance. We also talked about it before, right? Previous podcast. And the last one is chapter 11, is about coaching and mentorship and the importance of a supportive environment to success. I would say the most important thing is also when we are talking about coaching mentorship is look at everyone in a system, and yes, highlighting the important aspects of mentorship and the supportive environment.
Great. So today I know we're going to focus mostly on the motivation, which is what, chapter 1?
Yes, it's about chapter 1.
Well, I got to start off by asking, because motivation, right? So it's good to find out, by the way, if you're just tuning in, Dora Kurimay is a performance coach based out of New York City, but she's worked with people all over the world, athletes, professionals, individuals, groups, you name it. She does it. Check her out. I just want to point out someone who's accomplished all she has and has all these titles. And I mean, all you've done, clearly motivation is amazing. But what motivated you to do all this?
Yeah, so motivation is the inner drive, and it's an energy that keeps you going in the most difficult times. And you must know what drives you and what you do, and whether it's sport or work. And motivation is like fuel in the car. And for me, in general, I just love learning in general. And teaching as well. So it's definitely in general, we will talk about self-motivation and intrinsic motivation as well. So that's definitely what is a drive for me. And I also like challenges. So people who likes challenges, it's kind of a drive as well, because it's coming from inside.
Got it. All right. So motivation, let's begin. Chapter 1, we're talking today about her book. What would you say? You said you're from, very sports driven family, right? And, you talked a little bit about, when you first picked up that table tennis paddle, right? You're the only women there doing this, right?
I the first picked up the paddle, a table tennis paddle, and
Got
the
it.
only female table tennis club in Budapest. So I think it's in Hungary. So I think it's interesting because there are not too many only female table tennis clubs. So it was a unique experience. And I never imagined the places I would go playing table tennis as a table tennis professional. Through sport, through table tennis, I was traveling the world playing juniors and I was meeting amazing athletes. And definitely table tennis opened many doors for me to make friends, experience other cultures, and ultimately find a passion for sports psychology.
Beautiful. And speaking of the theme of motivation, we'll continue on. Did you learn a lot from your coaches? Is that where you found the strength, or did you learn more from your family? I don't know if you want to touch upon that.
I'm coming from a very sporty family, so there were always family sport activities along with casual table tennis at the playground, right?
Yeah.
So as I grew up, I did many different sports, and my sister was already playing competitively tennis. I tried many different sports, but actually my second cousin who played professional table tennis, he was a professional table tennis player, took me to this table tennis club. So to answer your question, I learned from my family because it was in the family culture, right? Sport is a great activity. We were always doing some sport activities, but of course I learned from my coaches as well because it was a high performance environment. I received training from the best coaches in Europe because the club where I was playing, it was one of the most successful club in Europe. So almost everyone was a European champion in that club. And I learned a lot from the coaches, but also since I spent so much time there, it became my second family. I also learned that the culture was not just about learning table tennis, but also how to build character. And also everyone cared about the others. So the coaches were always available and cared about their players as well.
And what about sports psychology? How did you get into that? Was it from them?
When I played table tennis at age 14, I began to see a sports psychologist. So that was the first experience.
Oh, wow.
Learning about sports psychology. So I had to see myself a sports psychologist because all the members of the Hungarian national team, there was an access. So I agreed to do that. And at the first time, I was very reserved towards her and the whole idea of sports psychology because I didn't know about it. But as soon as I realized how much it could help me when I started working with a sports psychologist, and it helped me to recover from injuries and illness. I learned about visualization, and it was very, very helpful for me. And I learned about the power of the mental strength that's affecting my performance. And I was also really excited to got introduced the book called Flow. I don't know if you heard about it. It's by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And basically this book it's the same concept like what you call zone. I'm sure you heard about being in the zone or being in the ideal performance state. So flow describes a state when the person performing an activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, enjoyment in the process of the activity. I learned about that, and I also realized that I'm experiencing flow in my sports career and when I was playing table tennis, and also I'm doing other activities. So when you're in the flow, everything is easy and effortless, and you're not thinking anything else. I learned about this when I was age 14. Also, I read the book. I got really interested in it. And as a result of hard work and training, great coaching, and the support of my family, I got many titles, right, in table tennis. So I was in the national team from age 14 till age 19, and a European champion in teams in my age group. I was a top player in Europe, and I competed in China. I traveled, and I trained in South Korea. So my life pretty was about playing table tennis, training and studying as well. And that's how I actually got involved in sports psychology, and I learned about the mental game. And I have to say that it's a great thing that I also have my own personal experience working with a mental performance coach,
Yeah.
right? In a really
Yeah.
young age. So I know how it feels, and I know how much it can have for everyone.
What made you move
So
here?
I moved here to study for my master's degree in sports psychology. I got a scholarship, and I was learning theories of sports psychology, and I was relating them to my former athletic experiences. And so I moved here to study for my master's degree in sports psychology. But I stopped playing for 5 years. So when I moved to the US again, I went back playing, and I wanted to use what I was studying, sports psychology, on myself. And they worked. And I not only did enjoy playing again, but I was also competing successfully.
Great. And what year did you move to the US?
2006.
Wow. Wow.
So it's a long time ago.
Good for
It was a
you.
long time. Yes, it was a long time ago. I moved to California, so I live there.
Okay. Got it. And you got a scholarship, you said, to study sports psychology, right?
Yes, because I studied psychology in Hungary, and I specialized in counseling psychology, work psychology, and sports psychology. That time was not available. But although I was writing my thesis even in sports psychology in Hungary, but the education was not available. And I applied for a scholarship to study sports psychology. So that's how
Right.
I moved.
So let's talk a little about the different types of motivation. Would you mind sharing?
So, how I said, there is self motivation, intrinsic motivation. That means that you do something because it's fun but challenging, and there is fulfillment from the activity itself. So, for example, and I'm also sharing in the book, because I'm talking about the first chapter about motivation and love of the sport. Just I give you some examples. Intrinsic motivation is love of the sport, love of learning, improving, and being successful. So you're enjoying the activity for itself. That's intrinsic motivation. And there is extrinsic motivation, which is more focusing on the outcome. It can be fame, money, prestige. So the motivation is outside of you. I'm giving you some examples here. If I'm tying it back to my personal experience in the book, it was winning tournaments, right? And getting my green card, traveling, finding new friends, meeting with new people. But it's kind of like it's a little bit mixed because it's combined with intrinsic as well, but it's an extrinsic motivation as well. So what I'm highlighting here also in the book, what's really important, finding a balance, because only extrinsic motivation, when you're doing something only outside of you, just reward in the long term, can cause burnout, and you might lose your motivation. So the best is to combine intrinsic and extrinsic motivation as well, optimally.
Got it. So self-motivation, you say, is intrinsic, right? So just give us some examples of it. How, what would you say is an example of self-motivation?
So self-motivation can be, for example, you do sport activities that you enjoy, you're learning something new, you have a passion for your work, whatever you do, right? You also enjoy improving. So basically, self-motivation and intrinsic motivation, the desire is on doing the activity for itself versus working just for external rewards.
Got it. All right. So how important is
I don't
self-motivation?
know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. I don't know if we jumped the gun here, but what some characteristics are common with people who are highly self-motivated?
Yeah, so it's also good to know the characteristics. I highlight also whoever I work with, it's very important to know your core values and what's important for you. And it can be very subjective. So highly self-motivated people know their core values, and they also know what's important for them. They are not afraid to do things outside of their comfort zone, energizing people. They can laugh at themselves and admit their strengths and weaknesses, believe in themselves. They like learning new things, and they are also open-minded, persistent, and strive for health in all aspects of their life. And they can move on from setbacks and challenges.
Got it. Thank you. That makes sense. What about, the pandemic? How did that affect self-motivation?
pandemic made everything uncertain and creating new home and work environments for everyone, that I think it was the hardest for parents and young kids and older people. And it is the fact that self-motivation has put way more importance of self-care and take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Everyone had to adopt and be able to handle the uncertain time, which affected mental health and productivity. And some people cope better than others. It varies how it's affected everyone, but we talked about it also last time. It definitely put way more importance of self-care and mental health.
Got it.
The pandemic.
Okay. And then also just wanted to point out, can everyone motivate him or herself? Can we do that? Or do we really need someone to help us? Can we do it? It's hard. It's hard. I don't know about that.
It's hard, but you can do it. Everyone can do it. And I'm always highlighting the importance of energy management. So you want to create some healthy routines like exercise routines. Surround yourself with positive people. That can definitely affect self-motivation positively. Yes, definitely it's coming from you and also from your environment as well. So environment is very important. And creating goals and action steps can be very motivating. So if you know what's important for you, set up some goals and after create some action steps for it. And also know why you're doing it. So that's why I also highlighted before, you want to know your core values, write positive affirmations and to remind yourself to keep going. We also talked about it before, the importance of resources and stressors in your life. So resources can give you energy and stressors can drain your energy. So of course, it's important. If you're very stressed out, it's very hard to motivate yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you want to focus on more on how you can effectively cope with stress and decrease your stressors. So these are the different aspects on how you can motivate yourself.
All right, good. And if someone wants to reach out to you to learn more about self-motivation, to purchase your books, how can we do that?
My website is www.dorakurimay.com. And everyone can see my books there and also read about my services. And if you would like to schedule an appointment with me, you can send me an email at dorakurimay.com. So again, Dora@dorakurimay.com. And my phone number is 347-849-1563.
Perfect. Thank you so much for talking about motivation today. If we can, I know we get to finish everything. We can finish it up next week if you need to. In the meantime, thank you for being here and for learning us how to motivate. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
I hope you got a lot of value from this episode. Thank you for listening. I have included a link in the description below where you can get a free copy of my high performance ebooks to help you to take your performance to the next level. Until next time, take care.